More than 500 Latvian peasant colonies originating from the 19th century following the abolition of serfdom existed near St. Petersburg, Novgorod, and in Siberia. As the Eastern Front was approaching the Courland region of Latvia in World War I, extensive forced evacuations were carried out, meaning that the number of Latvians living in Russia doubled to nearly 500,000. Many of the Latvian riflemen were early supporters of the Bolsheviks in 1917, when the First World War ended, and the Russian Civil War began. Many of the refugees were able to return to the newly independent Latvia. The Soviet-Latvian Peace Treaty of 1920 provided explicitly for the repatriation of former Latvian riflemen and refugees. According to the 1926 Soviet census, about 150,000 Latvians had remained in the Soviet Union. They developed an active cultural life with schools, newspapers and theaters. Since the 1905 revolution, there had been a strong Latvian faction in the Russian Social Democratic Labour Party. People of Latvian also descent briefly held high positions in the state apparatus of Soviet Russia. Of the 70 Cheka commissars in 1918, 38 were of Latvian descent. With the increasing Russification of Russia's state organs, members of non-Russian minorities were ousted from management posts. Under Joseph Stalin's leadership, Latvia was regarded as an enemy nation, and Latvians were generally regarded as counter-revolutionary, and branded suspicious elements. This generalization is believed to have come from the resistance of Latvian peasant colonists to forced collectivization at the end of the 1920s. Through deportations to gulags, these peasant colonies were eliminated by 1933. The Latvian Communist Party in the Soviet Union was dissolved in 1936, with members being persecuted and executed as nationalists and enemies of the people. One aspect of Stalin's Great Purge was state-directed xenophobia. In July 1937, the Latvian Cultural and Educational Society was closed and all employees were arrested. In December 1937, the Latvian theatre, Skachuve, in Moscow was also closed and its actors and other employees were executed and buried in an unmarked mass grave. The Red Latvian Riflemen were removed from the history books and school textbooks and their veteran associations were dissolved. On November 23, 1937, Nikolai Yuzov ordered the NKVD to pool all the intelligence gathered about Latvians in cultural and political life, military and other institutions, with the intention of launching mass arrests. The next week, on November 30, in keeping with Order No. 49990, on carrying out an operation of repressing Latvians throughout the Soviet Union were arrested. The legal process was streamlined by standardized accusations and confessions, which resulted in sentences that the accused people was either sent to labor camps or shot. With confessions obtained through torture, the NKVD fabricated the existence of a Latvian espionage ring, which included all Latvian officials from the Politburo right down to school directors. The last Latvian Chekists were also executed. Large groups of victims were shot at the shooting ranges of Ptovo and Kommunarka near Moscow, in Levashovo, near Leningrad, or in Karapati near Minsk, in the Belarusian SSR. Given a large number of detainees, the courts were unable to convict them quickly enough, despite using their album procedure, which was a procedure of extrajudicial conviction where the level of punishment of the arrested persons was decided by local organs during the investigation, with the lists of the convicted being sent to NKVD headquarters, where they were approved en masse and returned for immediate application of the punishment. The date of completion of the operation was then extended until August 1938. In October that year, the Special Troika were set up to deal with the backlog of unprocessed cases. The Latvian operation ended when Yuzov's successor, Lavrentiy Beria, issued NKVD Order No. 00762 on November 26, 1938, marking the end of the Great Purge. The liquidation of the Latvian party officials came back to cause difficulties for the Soviet authorities when they wanted to establish a party and administrative apparatus during their occupation of Latvia in 1940. The convictions of 22,369 Latvians are known, 16,573, or 74% were shot. Various estimates are based on 73,000 Latvian casualties. The exact number of the victims are unknown because many of the other people who were executed during the operation were not ethnically Latvian or even Latvian nationals. These included spouses of persons sent to the Gulag because of their marriage with a member of the so-called enemy nation, as well as the children from these marriages, who were sent to orphanages, were not included in the statistics. The operation resulted in their vast majority of Latvians in Russia abandoning their culture, and the descendants of Latvians in Russia barely speak Latvian today. The victims of the operation were rehabilitated during the Khrushchev thaw, but exact information about specific deaths and dates could only be obtained after the dissolution of the Soviet Union in December 1991. The perpetrators of the operation have never been tried. More than